be doing for the speaking section, right? So we'll get started with that. Okay, so those of you who are here for the first time, a little bit about me. I'm Swati Ravi. I'm an expert IELTS trainer, and I have more than 8 years of experience. I have more than 5,000 hours of teaching experience, and I have helped more than 3,000 students with their IELTS exam. So whatever questions you have about the IELTS exam, I am certainly qualified to answer that. I am a British Council certified IELTS trainer, as well as a TESOL Canada board certified English language trainer. I am great, Sri Gauri. Thank you. All right. Okay. So first things first, just a moment. Okay, so before we get started with the speaking section, I want to know how much you know about it and what kinds of difficulties or problems you have faced with the speaking section. Yes, what types of problems have you faced and what do you know about the speaking section? Yes. Okay. Fluency is a problem. Okay, grammatical errors. Yes, definitely. What else? In the speaking section. So in speaking section, do you know how many parts you have and what types of questions you have? Okay. 3 parts. Yes, correct. So we have 3 parts in the speaking section. What is part 1? Yes. Yes, correct. Part 1 is the introduction. And part 2, what about part 2? Yes, it's the cue card. So in part 2, they are going to give you a topic and you have to speak on that topic for at least 2 minutes, right? Okay, and in part 2, you also get some time to prepare. What about part 3? Yes, it is a discussion. Yes, correct. It's follow-up questions and discussions. Yes. All right, great. So it looks like most of you are acquainted with the general format of the speaking test. So directly we can begin with the things that you need to know. My problem is I know what to speak, or do you mean you don't know what to speak? I'm unable to speak it out. Okay. All right. So we'll talk quickly about the problems that you have and what we can do about those problems. Right. So for your speaking section, totally you have 3 parts, as you guys rightly mentioned. Part 1 is introduction. Now for the part 1, your questions are based on you, right? The questions are not asking for anything that you don't already know. So the answers are from memory. Yes, you are not thinking about the answer. There is no thinking involved. You are only recollecting. Yes? Okay. Now, let me tell you a quick a tidbit, I can say, about how the brain works when it comes to language, right? So you have 2 parts of the brain, and one part is responsible for creative thinking, and another part is associated with memory, right? So what happens if I am talking about something from memory? I am not thinking about it, I am simply recollecting. And while I am recollecting, it is possible for me to focus on the language. It is possible for me to focus on the grammar, the grammatical structure, and all of those other things. But if I am not reproducing the answer from memory, then I have to create the answer, right? So if I am focusing, if my analytical part is focusing on making up a story, right? Let's say I have a fake story, then my brain is focused on this, which means it is more difficult for me to focus on the grammar and the language. So as much as possible in your speaking section, stick to the truth. It is not advisable. Yes, it is totally okay. If you're going to ask me, can I lie? Yes, you can. Absolutely. No issues about that. But as much as possible, we will try to stick to something that actually happened, because I don't have to focus on the story then. I'm not focusing on the content. I can focus more on how I'm answering, what language I'm using, the words I'm using, my grammatical structure, which is more important in an IELTS test, right? So this is a mistake that I see many students making. They try to make an interesting story. They try to make an interesting answer, and in the process are not able to focus on the language part of it. Yes, so as much as possible, try to recollect and answer than making up the answers, particularly in part 1 and 2. Yes, so you can change the story a little bit. For example, you know an incident that happened to your friend or your sister or your brother. You can use that story and just change one thing. You can say that it happened to you, but the details of that story, try to stick to the real thing. It makes it a lot easier for us to improve our fluency. A lot of students don't realize that when you are making up a story as you go, it disrupts the fluency. Yes? All right. Okay. So this is the main thing that I want you to keep in mind when you are answering questions from part 1. So here is an example question for part 1. What made you choose this line of work? So if they ask you a question like this, suppose my real answer is boring, okay? The truth, let's say, the truth is that I chose this line of work because this was the only available job, right? For example, I'm saying, if your truth was that it's just that it was the available job, or it was well paying, or it was relevant to your field of study, yes, but you're not particularly happy with the job or you don't particularly enjoy it, that's okay. It's completely okay to tell this as an answer. So don't hesitate to tell the truth during this exam, because whatever you say, they are not judging you for that. So if you stick to the truth, you can definitely see an improvement in your fluency, and it gives you more, you're able to focus better on the grammar and the language. Okay, now I know that some of you said that you have trouble with the grammar aspect of it, right? The grammatical part of it. Now, I would say first thing you should do is go and learn the structure of complex sentences. Learn the structure of 5 types of complex sentences. This is enough for you to cruise through your speaking section. Believe me when I say this, if you know 5 types of complex sentences thoroughly, perfectly, just know 5 types, it is enough for you to speak well. You don't have to worry too much about all of the other things. Yes? And what about tenses? What about tenses? How many tenses should I know? How many tenses are there totally? Do we know that? Yes. Okay. Totally, we have 12 tenses totally. Yes, Amanpreet, you're correct, right? So we have past, present, and future. And in each of that, we have simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous, right? So 4 into 3, 12 tenses are there. But how many of these do we actually need to know for our speaking section? I'll quickly tell you, and please make a note of this. This is very important and very useful. You should know simple past. Yes, and you should know present continuous. Yes, and you should know present perfect. Enough. You do not need to know any of the other tenses. If you know these 3 tenses properly, it is enough for you to speak well, right? So this is a hack. You don't need to know everything. And I have confirmed this with the examiners also. So if you do speak these 3 tenses, the examiner won't be able to tell whether you know the other tenses or not. If you are using these 3 tenses perfectly, it is enough. Yes, I'm going to give you examples, so don't worry. Right. Okay. And those of you who are here already, please make sure that you stay till the end of the session, because I am going to give you a list of vocabulary that you can use for the speaking section, and you do not need to learn 100 words, just some of them will do. Yes? Okay. So I will give you a list for that as well. Please stay till the end. All right. So simple past is for completed actions, right? And nothing complicated about this. This is the tense that we know very, very well, right? All of us know the simple past tense. So be very comfortable with simple past tense. It is absolutely necessary for you to know this tense perfectly, right? Next is the present continuous. This we use for ongoing actions. Yes, and we use present perfect for something that started in the past and is continuing to the present. Yes, so these are the 3 tenses that you should know. I'll give you an example for each of them as well. I will say, I studied for the exam last year. Yes. All right. Next, we have present continuous. I am studying for the exam. Yes. And the last one, I have studied for the exam. Sorry, past perfect continuous is what I meant. These are the 3 tenses we need to know. Past perfect is I have studied, which we don't need. I have been studying. Right. So if you know these 3 tenses, it is usually enough for your speaking section. You do not need to focus on the other ones. Now, if you want to know how to construct complex sentences, I have done a different masterclass on that as well. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will be able to see all of the past masterclasses, the recordings of all the classes as well. You can go and check out my other video about use of complex sentences, how to construct them, and how to construct sentences for your speaking, how to add details. I have done other videos on that, so you can go and watch that. I will be reviewing it again in today's session as well. Okay, so in your introduction part, this is, you need to give an answer that is at least 20 seconds long. Okay, so this is the ideal time for part 1 answer. So for one question, what made you choose this line of work? I have to give an answer that is at least 15 to 20 seconds in length, right? 15, try to reach at least 15 seconds. Yes, you can speak for up to 20 seconds. More than 20 seconds is not needed. Yes, are we clear on this? Any questions so far? I'm going to give you the common topics for part 1, common topics for part 2 and part 3 as well. I'm going to explain that. Okay, right. Ending is always doubtful. No, it's totally fine for you to stop wherever you are once you've reached the 20 seconds. Finish the sentence and stop. Yes. So for this question, what made you choose this line of work? For example, I'm going to say, I chose this line of work because I am very passionate about teaching. Now, I have to add detail to this answer, right? Because if I don't add any kind of details, I cannot reach the 20-second mark. So what type of details can I add? It is very easy for you to add reasons or an example. So I can say, I chose this line of work because, and then I can give more details. Yes. How do we know if we've reached 20 seconds? When you are practicing at home, please use a stopwatch. Yes, I'm sure all of you have a stop clock on your phones. Please use that to practice so that you know how long it feels to speak for that 20 seconds. Because sometimes we will feel like I spoke for a long time and we look at the timer, it will only be 1 minute. right? So use a stop clock when you're practicing at home. So for this question, I can give reasons or I can give an example. I'll show you how to do both. I can say, I chose this line of work because I am very passionate about teaching. So now I have given a reason. Now I'll give an example. For example, when I am interacting with my students, I get to see what they feel and how they are learning. This gives me a sense of satisfaction. So I have now given a sufficiently long answer, right? So this is what we should be practicing. Take the list of part 1 questions. You can Google it, guys. IELTS Speaking part 1 questions. You'll find hundreds of questions. Take each question and answer them giving reason and an example. This is the easiest way for you to reach the 20-second mark. Yes, are we all going to do this? Can we all try to do this? Yes? Okay, great. All right. So all of you, please start doing this. Take any part 1 question, give your answer directly. After that, give your reason. After that, give the example. Yes, do not give an answer that is vague. Do not give an answer that is starting with the reason. Start with your answer. Answer directly. Yes. All right. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind when you are answering part 1 questions. Always try to stick to the truth. Yes, sometimes you can lie, of course, but please make sure that you are trying to stick to the truth as much as possible. Like I explained earlier, improves fluency if you are not lying. Okay. Arya, yes, it is possible, but you have to practice very hard and every single day. Yes. And if you have a problem with grammar, that is something that you need to fix immediately. That is what you should work on first. Okay. All right. So now I'll give you a list of part 1 topics. If you're very comfortable with lying, go ahead. But this is just how our mind works. It is not possible for us to use both the creative side and the analytical side comfortably simultaneously. Right. Supriya, I'm very happy to hear that. Okay, next, this is the list of topics, most common topics for part 1. You can take a screenshot of this page or you can come back and watch this video on YouTube as well. These are the topics, not the questions. So under childhood, for example, they can ask me questions like, what was your childhood like? Where were you brought up? What experiences did you have as a child? So anything related to your childhood can be asked in part 1. So if you know these kinds of topics, what happens? If we know the topics, what can we do? We can think of reasons and examples for it, right? So I'll keep a few examples ready. If they ask me about childhood, I will mention where I grew up and I'll tell a story about that, right? So I will say, for example, when I was a child, I was learning to ride the bicycle. And that is how I made friends with the children in the neighborhood. Yes, so you can use certain examples for each of these topics. Keep these topics ready, right? So you can Google part 1 question related to hometown, part 1 question childhood, part 1 question daily routine. So do this. You can find the list of topics. Of course, you can enroll to any of our free classes on the Leap app, and you will get all of the study resources as well. Hardika, I don't have it. You will need to find it on YouTube. Yes. Okay. So this is the list of topics. Have all of you made a note of the topics? If you have any questions about this, you can ask. So I'll give you a few example questions. For example, for food, they can ask, what type of food do you normally eat? They can ask this. Or they can ask, what type of food do you enjoy? They can ask like that. Or what type of food do you eat every day? Or eat for breakfast? These are the types of questions they will ask you in part 1. Part 1 is always based on memory. They don't ask you questions that you have to think about. Yes. Yes, we do have grammar classes as well. I like to eat an apple every day. Yes. And what details can you add to that, Avinash? I like to eat an apple every day. Now you will give me reason and an example. Yes. What reasons and examples can we give for that? Yes, I can say because I enjoy the taste of the apple since it is crunchy and delicious. Now I can give an example. When I was little, my parents gave me an apple for the first time and told me that if I ate an apple a day, it would keep the doctor away. So I was scared to go to the hospital. So I ate an apple every day. Right. So including these types of mini stories makes it very easy for us to reach that 20-second mark. So try to include stories from the past or, little details. It always helps. Yes. I love vegetarian food because it is quite healthy and it also helps me to stay fit. Yes. Now for this, what example can you give? For example, I like to eat salads because, yes, it's totally okay to add example in part 1 as well. It's not, if you can reach the 20-second mark without the example, then you can stop. But if you have not reached the 20-second mark, if you feel your answer is very short, then you can include an example. Yes. Introducing yourself, what should I say? Just say your name. You don't have to say too much. I'm Swati. You can call me Swati. That's it. Give your full name and say what the examiner can call you. That is enough. Right. Okay. It helps me stay fit as I believe in taking care of our health. Yes, I also believe in a healthy mind and a healthy body. Fantastic. Good job. Yes, Majabeen, that's correct. You can call me Jabeen. Great. You can say that. Yes, that is sufficient when you are introducing yourself, or you can also add where you're from. I'm Swati. I'm from Tamil Nadu. You can call me Jabeen. You can call me Swati. That's fine. Right. All right. Okay, so we'll continue. Okay, lots of questions. Can I extend the answer by adding contrast? Yes, you can, but it's not necessary in part 1. Guys, you can find the grammar classes on our LeapScholar app. So if you join anything else, any courses, any master classes, you will have access to all of that. Okay. I'm a pescatarian. Great. You can mention that. All right. Now let's talk about part 2. I want to cover all 3 parts so that you guys will have a better understanding. Right. So for part 2, the first thing you should do as soon as you get your topic is decide on a story. All right. Please remember this. You are talking about an experience. So let me tell you this. In part 1, you are talking about your life, right? Where you work, what you do, what you study, who your friends are, where do you hang out, when do you go out, what time do you wake up, questions about yourself, right? Part 2, on the other hand, are based on your experiences, right? So this is not just about something related to you. It is about something that you have experienced. So it is about your past, usually about your past. They want to know something that you have experienced or been through. So here, first thing you should do as soon as you get your cue card is decide on the story. Yes, always decide on the story as soon as you get the cue card for part 2. This is the first step. After that, in the 1 minute, please make notes. Yes, making notes, again, don't fill your note. That is not what we have to do. We are thinking and writing. So more importance should be given for the thinking process within that 1 minute, not the writing. So I'm not going to write everything that comes to mind. I am only going to think and write 2 words per prompt. So your part 2 will have a topic and then you'll have 3 bullet points. Yes. So these 3 bullet points, you will write 2 words for each question. Yes. Experience means, yes, we are going to be using the past tense. We can use present tense as well. Present continuous as well when we are talking about what we are doing now. Mostly part 2 will be in past tense. Yes. Okay. So for your cue card, in that 1 minute, yes, you can look at your notes while you're speaking. That's why I'm telling you it's very important, but don't write a lot of things. Write only 2 words per bullet point. So you have a topic question and 3 bullet points plus 1 explanation. So totally you will write 2 words for each prompt. And apart from this, yes, Sujal, that also. So you will have all the WH questions, right? When, where, why, what, who, how. These are the questions you will always have. So write 2 to 3 words for each bullet point. Then after that, apart from this notes on the topic, also write some uncommon words on the side. And these uncommon words, you will look at your note and try to include that word while you are speaking. Yes, totally you have 1 minute to prepare and you need to speak for 2 minutes. Okay, now to speak for 2 minutes is a little bit difficult, right? Especially if you are talking about the past. So the best way to extend your answer is to add all the background details. Okay, so let me tell you what background details are. For example, if I am saying I went out last week or last Sunday. Yes, so now I have easily, yes, Saran, that's correct. I have just said I went out last Sunday, right? So suppose the prompt is asking when, and I have answered, I went out last Sunday. How can I add details to this? What else can I say? I went out last Sunday. Now I will describe the Sunday. Okay? Who I went with, all of that is the next prompt, right? Where I went, with whom I went, those are all different prompts. What I'm saying is, if I just answer each prompt, let's say my topic is, I'll write the topic here. Describe a time you went out with family. Okay, let's say this is my question. And my prompts are when you went, where you went, with whom you went. Okay, now if I just say I went out last Sunday to the restaurant on the beach with my family and friends. That's it. I'm done, right? I have finished answering the question within 10 seconds. So how do I elaborate on my answer? You should be elaborating each of the prompts. If I can speak for, yes, exactly, Arfia. That's exactly what I meant. So I will describe the when. Let's say I went out on Sunday. Now I'm going to describe the Sunday, right? So you can give any type of description about it. So I will say, I went out last Sunday and it was a very lazy Sunday. The streets were empty. It was rather sunny, so everyone stayed indoors. And when we went out, we noticed that it was very quiet, right? You can say this, or you can say, I remember that it was raining very heavily throughout the night. So in the morning, it was extremely pleasant. And I felt like going out for a drive. Yes, so you can add details, descriptive details to each of the prompts. This is extremely helpful because it helps us to expand on each of the answers. Similarly, when I say where, let's say I went to the beach and now I will describe the beach, right? So I will say the beach was so beautiful. I could see the blue water sparkling at a distance, and the waves were slowly crashing against the sand. I could feel the sand through my toes. Yes. So description. If you don't have the habit of describing, please start today. Yes. Start describing anything. Yes. Okay. So how do we practice description? Take anything. You have especially the WH questions, when, where, why, who, how, the WH questions, try to describe those things. For example, who, my answer for who is my sister, let's say, and I will describe this person. So I will say, my sister has always been a very fanciful person, etc. So I'm going to give description about her. And you can do this with anything. For where, I will describe the place. For when, I will describe the time. And with whom, I will describe the people. Why, I can describe my situation. Yes? All right. Okay, so this is what I want you to start practicing from today itself. Yes, I've already told you, you should go and learn 5 types of complex sentences. Repeat it again and again and again until you are 100% thorough with those 5 complex sentences. That's all. I'm not asking you to learn anything else. Learn the 3 tenses, 5 complex sentences, and describe. Start practicing description. This is enough. Yes? All right. So this is what we need to do for part 2. Do you want to know the common topics for part 2? Just like part 1? Yes? Okay? Sure? All right, fine. I'll give you the topics for part 2. So these are the, those of you who are asking me what are complex sentences, please go watch the other videos on our channel. We have so many videos explaining complex sentences. All right. Yes, they will provide a notepad and a pencil to make your notes. Yes, please take a screenshot of this page and you can practice on these topics. Yes, remember what I told you, as soon as you get the topic, what is the first thing we have to do? We have to think of a story. So if you know that these are the common topics, think of a story related to this and keep it ready. So when you go for the exam, if you get any of these topics, there is a high chance for you to get one of these topics. Yes, most of the students get one of these topics. And all the recent topics, those videos are also there on our YouTube channel. Yes. How many of you have subscribed to our YouTube channel? Wow. Amazing. Great, great, fantastic. So it looks like many of you have subscribed already. Those of you who have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe so that you will get updates every time we do a masterclass. And suppose you missed the masterclass, you can come back and watch the recording on our YouTube channel. And for complex sentences, please go and watch the masterclasses available on complex sentences. I have done some masterclasses on sentence, how to write a good sentence, how to speak for a higher band score, and so on. Right. Okay. Can you tell us more about unexpected event? Okay. Unexpected event is a very common part 2 topic, and usually they just say describe an unexpected event. They will not ask you any details. And one more thing to keep in mind, they will never ask you negative topics. They will not ask you to talk about a sad event or a bad event or something that made you angry. They will always ask you questions that are positive. Yes, because they don't want their students, they don't want the candidates to become emotional. Therefore, they always ask about positive topics. Yes, thank God. Okay, right. They don't want to trigger an emotional response. So therefore, they will always ask you about positive topics. Yes, always related to personal experience. No political and other topics. Absolutely no. Always related to personal experiences. Yes. All right. So you can, I hope all of you have taken a screenshot of this page. For unexpected event, the question is always describe an unexpected event. That's it. Can we talk about an unplanned vacation? Yes, definitely. Yes, Ishank, you can say that the most unexpected event that I have experienced in my life was when we went on an unplanned impromptu family trip. And then you can describe every detail. Yes, unexpected meeting with an old friend. Yes, definitely. Yes, right. So you can, example question on history. Okay, for history, usually they ask about describe an important date in your history. This is the most common topic for history. Describe an important date in your country's history, or describe the birthday of an, talk about the birthday of an important person. Yes, so for this, already keep 2-3 things in mind. Describe an important historical event. This is also a topic. So just take anything, right? Independence Day is the easiest. So if they ask you about history, talk about Independence Day. I'm sure all of you studied about our freedom movement and everything in school. So definitely you will know something at least. Yeah. If you say you don't know, you better know. Right. Geography, no, they don't ask. If I don't have any idea about it, yes, you can make up your own story. But like I said, it is better if you stick to something that you know or have experienced, or you can take someone else's story. Okay, this actually happened to my mother, but I'll say that it happened to me. That's also okay. Right. Okay, so some of you seem, let me clarify, most of the examiners are Indians. Okay. Yes, you do have some native speakers as examiners as well, but most of the examiners are Indians. So you don't have to worry about that. Can they interrupt between the cue card? No, they'll only interrupt you when you have reached 2 minutes. Is grammar important? Yes, absolutely, definitely. That's why I'm telling you, go and learn the complex sentences. All right, guys, so let's continue so that we have some time to look at the vocabulary as well. Now, part 3, main thing is that part 3 is always based on your opinions. Since they are asking about your opinion on something, always give your answer directly. Do you think something is happening? Yes or no? Say yes or no. After you say yes or no, you should add reasons as well as examples. For part 4, your answer should be about 40 seconds. Yes? So try to make your answer as long as possible for part 3. So definitely give reasons and then definitely give an example. In part 1, I told you example is not mandatory, but in part 3, please try to include an example because we have to get to 40 seconds. We need to give a much longer answer. So the topics that I've given you, based on those topics, they will ask you questions in part 3, but they are completely based on your opinion. Do you think people live longer now than they used to? This is an opinion question. I will say, yes, I think that people live longer now than they used to because we have better medical facilities and our knowledge of science has improved considerably over the past few decades. For example, we did not have these many vaccines, and we are now able to vaccinate ourselves against a variety of viruses because we have the science to do so. Longevity has increased. Yes, you can use that. People have become more health conscious, and yes, the invention of soap, the invention of antiseptics, these things have become extremely important in preventing the spread of infections, right? So you should be answering like this for part 3, right? Give your answer directly first. Say yes or no. After that, give your reasons. After that, you can give examples. If one example is not enough, one more example is also okay. Yes, if you don't understand the question, it is totally okay to ask the examiner to repeat. All right. Okay, guys, so that's it. Let's move on to some things that I want to say before we look at the vocabulary. Yes, yes, please always be to the point. Do not deviate from the topic. How fast or slow should our pace of speech be? The pace at which I speak, this is the normal pace. You can speak in the same pace. Slightly slower is okay, but not too slow. Yes, the pace at which I speak, this is a normal pace. All right. Okay, guys, so let's continue. A few things that I would like to mention before we move on to the vocabulary list. I am going to share a vocabulary list, so please stay and listen to that as well. All right, so before that, few things that I would like to mention. If you download the IELTS Prep by LeapScholar app, you have access to our speaking rooms, which are completely free. So all the things that I discussed today, a lot of students tell me that I don't have anyone to practice with. And that is exactly why we have launched the speaking rooms. The speaking rooms are there 24/7, all times. It is always there. You can join at any time, even in the middle of the night. You will see students practicing speaking, right? Any time of the day you can join. There will always be people practicing speaking. You can join them and practice with them. Or you can call 4 of your friends, 5 of your friends, and create your own speaking room and practice with them also. Yes, so you will be able to practice there by yourself. And apart from this, we do have the evaluators like, educators like myself and passed out students who've already written the IELTS exam and scored well. All of those people you will find conducting speaking rooms. Those will be moderated speaking rooms. You can go and join those as well. Those happen maybe a few times a day. Okay, so it looks like most of you are already using the speaking room. Those of you who are not aware of this feature, please make use of it. It is very, very helpful to practice all the things that we talked about just now. Yes, okay. Next thing that I want to mention is if you attend any 4 master classes in 1 week, you will unlock the fast track videos as well as the certificate. So if you unlock the fast track video, I'll tell you what the biggest benefit is. You have a series of lectures on complex sentences, right? We have a series of recorded videos by Deeksha ma'am, which talks about the construction of complex sentences. So if you attend any 4 master classes in 1 week, you will be able to unlock the fast track videos. Fast track videos are available on our app and is automatically unlocked once you have, once you've attended the 4 master classes, right? The YouTube channel is called IELTS Prep by LeapScholar. You can look it up. We will share the links for that as well. Yes, all right. Just give me a moment. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all of our masterclasses. Masterclasses are sessions like this one where we talk about specific things. Yes, guys, don't leave yet. I'm going to share the vocabulary list. Yes, all right. Great. Okay. So I hope that all of you will start using the speaking rooms to practice the things that we talked about, right? Okay, so I'm sharing the link for the speaking rooms. Just a moment. So here's the link to join the speaking rooms. You can join the speaking room and practice the speaking. And apart from this, of course, please do subscribe to our channel so that you will have updates every time you are. You need to download the app. Yes. Okay. All right, guys. So let's continue. I will share the vocabulary list and you can take a screenshot of those. You can make a note of those and try to use those words repeatedly. Right. Okay. So we have quite a few upcoming masterclasses. You can go and click on the remind me. So if you click on the bell icon at the time of the masterclass, you will get a notification. Yes, so that you will not miss the masterclass. Of course, if you subscribe to the channel, even if you miss the session, you will be able to come back and watch it later as well. We have lots of batches that are starting this week, and starting Wednesday, we have so many batches coming up, and it is available morning, evening, afternoon, night. So whatever is comfortable for you, you can join. The app is currently not available on iOS, but you can run it on your laptop using BlueStacks. Great, Nandini. Very happy to hear that. Right. Okay, so let's continue. Masterclasses are free, as I've mentioned already. We cover all the topics. And so make sure that you are attending as many masterclasses as you can. They are definitely helpful. Okay, so here is the vocabulary list. You can take a screenshot. There's one more page as well. And I've covered most of the topics. And many of these words can be used for other topics as well. Yes? You don't have to learn 100 words. If I use, in the 2 minutes that I speak, if I use 5 to 7 uncommon words, will the examiner know that I only know these 7 words? What do you think? They won't know exactly. The examiner will think that, oh, wow, the student has good vocabulary, or the student is able to use sentences properly. Learn only 5 complex sentences. But what will the examiner think? Oh, the student is using complex sentences very comfortably. Yes. So basically, we are trying to trick the examiner into thinking that we have good grammar, we have good vocabulary, right? So learn 5 complex sentences, 3 tenses, and learn only 5-6 words per topic is enough. Yes? Okay. Everyone's taken a screenshot? Moving on to the next page. All right. Last few topics. You can make a note of these topics as well. Hardika, just Google it. Or you can unlock our fast track videos and you can watch our sessions on the recorded videos on how to construct those different types of complex sentences. I already mentioned that I myself have done previous masterclasses on complex sentences. Just go to our YouTube channel, you will and search for complex sentences. You'll find so many videos by our trainers. Yes, every day we cover different topics. Yes. Great, Nandini, very happy to hear it. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you are making full use of the speaking room to practice the things that we talked about today. Those of you who are working on the grammar, please start with the complex sentences. Yes? All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you again in the next masterclass. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Bye.